There's a hidden truth that most never see. Every towering tree began as a seed buried in darkness. Every skyscraper started as a pencil line on paper, and every person who ever achieved greatness, yes, everyone, began at the bottom. They were unknown, uncertain, undervalued. You see their success today, but what you don't see is the beginning. The long road walked alone, the doors slammed shut, the dreams laughed at. What separates them from the millions who give up? It isn't luck, it isn't privilege, it's a principle, a law as real as gravity. The deeper truth, when you understand it, when you live by it, your life will never be the same. Let's begin where all great journeys begin, the start. There is a divine law in the realm of achievement, as immutable as the rising of the sun. It states simply all things, great and mighty, begin small and often unnoticed. The world tends to celebrate the finish line, but it rarely tells the truth about the starting point. And this is where the seeds of discouragement take root in the hearts of men and women who dare to dream. They look up at the mountaintop and forget that even the most seasoned climber once stood at the base unsure of his footing. No one is born into mastery. No soul enters this life holding the trophies of triumph. The inventor did not begin with a blueprint. The author did not begin with a best-selling manuscript. The builder did not begin with a city skyline. Every form of greatness, without exception, began with confusion, chaos, and crude attempts. The first brushstroke is awkward. The first note is off-key. The first try is clumsy, ridiculed, or ignored. Yet it is the beginning that matters most. A seed is the most fragile of life forms. It holds no resemblance to the tree it may become. It has no leaves, no bark, no shade to offer. It does not command attention. It is small, vulnerable, dependent. Yet within it is contained the potential of forests. The successful man or woman is no different. Before applause, there was silence. Before recognition, rejection. Before success, sacrifice. There is no escaping this law. Anyone who believes they are exempt from humble beginnings is in defiance of the very nature of progress. And defiance of truth leads only to disappointment. You may be laboring now in obscurity, wondering if your efforts are in vain. Perhaps you work late while others sleep. Perhaps your ideas are dismissed, your passion misunderstood. The deeper truth, you may feel as though the world is blind to your effort. But let me assure you, what is now hidden will one day be revealed. And what is small, if properly nurtured, will grow. The tragedy is not that people start small. The tragedy is that they believe starting small is evidence of inadequacy. They do not see the divine fingerprint in the beginning stages. They believe their lack of progress is proof they are unworthy, when in fact it is proof they are human. They compare their chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. They forget that every master was once a novice. Every leader was once led. Every success story once read like a failure. Do you think the great minds of history were welcomed with open arms? They shared their ideas? No, they were resisted, mocked, desolated. But they endured. They believed in their beginning because they understood that greatness is a process, not an event. You must not despise your own beginning, no matter how humble. In it lies the raw material of your destiny. Your beginning may be messy, it may be slow, it may be filled with doubts and detours. This is natural. The first draft of anything is never perfect. But the act of starting, the willingness to move forward despite imperfection, is what separates the door from the dreamer. Those who wait for conditions to be ideal never begin. They grow old making plans but never planting seeds. Do not seek a grand entrance. Seek instead the courage to begin. The world may not cheer for you yet. The spotlight may not find you. But know this, the silence of the early days is not an absence of worth. It is the proving ground of your commitment. Every man of vision was once a man of questions. Every builder was once a laborer. Every idea that changed the world began as a thought that someone chose not to ignore. What is ordinary now may become extraordinary later if it is met with consistent effort and unwavering belief. The farmer does not doubt the seed because he cannot yet see the harvest. He tills the ground. He waters it. He waits. He works in faith, and in due time the harvest arrives. Likewise, you must understand the power of your own beginning. You must treat your small actions with reverence, for they are the foundation of all future accomplishment. Do not wait to feel ready. Do not wait for permission. Begin with what you have. Begin where you are. The tools will appear as you move forward. The clarity will come as you act. There is magic in momentum. It breathes life into vision. But you must first be willing to look like a fool before you are seen as a genius. You must be willing to stand alone before others believe in you. It is here in the silence, in the obscurity, in the simplicity of first steps that your power is being forged. Let the world underestimate you. Let them look away. Their attention is not your oxygen. Your belief is. Your effort is. And your persistence will speak louder than any applause ever could. Let your beginning be awkward. Let it be imperfect. But most of all, let it be real. Let it be honest. Let it be yours. This is not the end of your story. It is only the beginning. And this beginning, humble as it may seem, holds the blueprint of your future. Before the world bends to your will, before the first brick is laid, before the first step is taken, there must come a fire. It is not visible to the naked eye. It makes no sound. Yet it shapes destinies more than talent, more than education, more than opportunity. This fire is desire, the burning, relentless want that refuses to die. No matter how many times the world pours cold water on your dreams, desire is not a passing wish. It is not the soft voice of a lazy hope or the idle thought that perhaps someday things might change. No, true desire is a command issued from the depths of your soul. It is a declaration to life itself that you will not be denied. It is a hunger that consumes hesitation, fear, and doubt. It is the birthplace of all progress. Every great movement in history was born not from strategy, but from desire. Every invention that changed mankind, every act of courage, every creation that touched the soul, started as a silent but unshakable desire in the heart of one who refused to settle for less than what they imagined. You may not yet have the resources. You may not yet know the path. But if you have desire, you have the seed of everything. You possess the one thing that cannot be bought, borrowed, or inherited. Desire is personal. It is sacred. It does not need to be justified. It does not require approval. It lives within you, and when you allow it to grow, it shapes the world around you to match the vision you carry. There are many who say they want success, but want is not enough. Want whispers. Desire roars. Want dreams while lying in bed. Desire gets up before the sun and works in silence. Want wishes someone would help. Desire takes action with or without support. Most people live lives of quiet wishing. They hope for something more, but hope alone is passive. Desire is not passive. It is the force that pushes you to act even when the odds seem insurmountable. When a person truly desires something, they will find a way. If there are no doors, they build one. If there are no opportunities, they create them. Desire does not need guarantees. It needs only a spark of belief in the will to keep moving. It transforms rejection into resilience, obstacles into lessons, and time into a tool. Every hour, every setback, every moment becomes fuel when desire is the engine. You can give a man all the tools and he may still fail. But give a man deep, consuming desire, and he will fashion his own tools, forge his own road, and climb any height to claim what he seeks. Because desire does not rely on comfort. In fact, it thrives in discomfort. It feeds off adversity. The more resistance it meets, the stronger it becomes. For the person driven by desire, defeat is not a conclusion, it is a provocation. And yet, desire must be clear. Vague longing is not desire. Desire is specific, vivid, emotional. It is the picture you hold in your mind with such intensity that the world around you starts to reflect it. If you cannot see clearly what you desire, you cannot pursue it with conviction. The mind must be instructed. The emotions must be engaged. You must want it with such depth that you feel pulled toward it, even when you are tired, even when you are afraid, even when you have failed before. Desire is the great equalizer. It does not care where you were born, what school you went to, or what your past looks like. It recognizes only one thing: intensity. If your desire is strong enough, the conditions of your life will begin to shift. Ideas will come, people will appear, doors will open. But only after you have demonstrated that your desire is not a fantasy, but a force. It must be backed by willingness to endure, to adapt, and to act with courage even when no one else believes. There is a reason that every life of transformation begins with a moment of decision. And every true decision is driven by desire. Not shallow curiosity, not idle interest, but the soul deep, tear-streaked, unrelenting certainty that your life was meant for more, and that you will not rest until you reach it. Desire does not ask, "What if I fail?" It declares, "I must try." It does not require the absence of fear. It simply refuses to be ruled by it. When you look at the lives of those who have built empires, transformed industries, risen from the ashes of defeat, you will find one common denominator: desire that burned long after everyone else would have quit. This desire must be nurtured. It must be fed daily with vision, with affirmations, with thoughts of purpose. Because the world will try to water it down, try to make you doubt, try to distract you with comfort and conformity. But you must protect it like a sacred flame, for within it lies the force that can move mountains, bend time, and bring into existence that which today exists only in your mind. Desire is the spiritual blueprint of your future reality. It is the starting point of all greatness, the first cause of transformation, and the power that separates those who live fully from those who merely exist. You need not see the entire path. You need not know the how. But you must know the what, and you must want it enough to rise, to push, to endure, and to keep walking when the road is dark and the results are not yet in sight. There is a power that moves before results, a power that builds bridges where there are no roads, that opens doors where only walls exist, and that sustains the weary when logic says to quit. This power is not found in the hands. It is not born of sight, nor does it rely on evidence. It is forged in the unseen. It is faith, the unwavering belief in results that have not yet arrived. Faith is not blind. It sees more clearly than the eyes. While the world demands proof, faith whispers, "Act as though it already is." It requires no permission from circumstance. It does not check the weather of opportunity or wait for applause. Faith does not ask the question, "Is this possible?" It affirms, "This is mine," and then proceeds to act accordingly. Every person who has ever changed the world believed in things before the world did. They believed in an invention that did not exist. They believed in a cure that had never been discovered. They believed in a future no one else could see. Their belief preceded the result. That is the law, that is the order. First faith, then fact. First conviction, then confirmation. Most people are slaves to their senses. If they cannot see it, touch it, or measure it, they dismiss it. But the person who succeeds is the one who learns to trust the intangible, to see with the mind what the eyes cannot yet show, to hear the sound of a future calling even when surrounded by silence. This ability to believe in the invisible is the very foundation of all achievement. When a builder lays a foundation, there is no structure yet. Just dirt, cement, noise, and sweat. From the outside, it appears like a mess. But the builder sees something others do not. They see the finished structure, the home, the tower, the legacy, even while they're still working in the mud. That is faith, not hope, not wishful thinking. But the calm, determined certainty that what they see in their mind is already real, simply waiting to be brought into form. The same is true of every creator, every entrepreneur, every visionary. They walk by faith. They speak of the future as if it were the present. They endure today's lack because they are focused on tomorrow's abundance. They are not fools. They are not dreamers lost in fantasy. They are creators, builders of the invisible. Faith is action aligned with belief. It is not passive. It is not waiting and wondering. It is acting boldly while the world calls you mad. It is putting in the work when there is no applause. It is rising again after failure because you know that failure is not final. It is showing up every day with discipline because your belief in the outcome is greater than your fear of delay. Those who possess faith do not need reassurance from the world. They do not look to others for confirmation. Their validation comes from within. They speak words of victory while others speak of doubt. They carry themselves with quiet authority, not because they've already succeeded, but because they know they will. Faith gives them posture, power, and peace. But this kind of faith must be developed. It must be strengthened like a muscle. It is not born in comfort, but in conflict. It is built in moments of silence, when the results have not shown, when the bank account is empty, when the support system is gone, when the mind is filled with reasons to quit. Yet you continue. That is when faith is forged. The world often teaches us to seek security, to follow what is proven, to stay on the path that others have already paved. But faith is not concerned with what is common. Faith forges new trails. It is not shackled by precedent. It does not rely on what has been done before. It is the essence of innovation, the engine of transformation. It sees possibility where others see limitation. To walk in faith means to speak life into things that appear lifeless. It means to invest in your dream when there is no return yet. It means to put pen to paper, hands to work, voice to vision, even when results are delayed. Delay is not denial. The soil does not reveal the seed's work immediately, but underground in silence and darkness, transformation is taking place. Faith knows this. Faith trusts the process. There will be moments where everything around you says it's not working, where progress feels invisible, where each step forward is met with resistance. And in those moments, most people retreat. But those led by faith move forward, not recklessly, not with desperation, but with assurance. Their eyes may not see the reward yet, but their heart already possesses it. Faith turns obstacles into stepping stones. It makes the impossible inevitable. It aligns your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions with a reality not yet seen, and in doing so, draws that reality into form. What you believe, when believed with full conviction and acted upon with persistence, begins to reshape the fabric of your life. Faith is the quiet builder of legacy. It is not loud. It does not demand recognition, but it leaves behind the greatest works of mankind. The cathedrals, the movements, the revolutions, all were born of people who believed before it was fashionable, who persisted when others mocked, who kept going when no one clapped. They lived not according to what was, but according to what would be. And they moved through life not by sight, but by vision. Failure is one of the most misunderstood forces in human experience. It is feared, avoided, and despised by the masses, yet it is embraced, studied, and even revered by those who rise above mediocrity. Where one man sees failure as the end, another sees it as the raw material of his success. The distinction is not in the event itself, but in the meaning applied to it. For failure is not final. It is formative. Every person of significance has walked through the valley of defeat, not once but many times. The record breakers, the empire builders, the thinkers and creators. Each has met failure face to face. They have been knocked to their knees, stripped of momentum, and left alone with nothing but their belief in what could still be. But they did not stop. They did not retreat. They did not surrender to the illusion that failure was a verdict. Instead, they used it as a mirror, a teacher, a tool. Failure does not mean the dream is dead. It means that something must be adjusted. A strategy, the mindset and approach. Failure is feedback, brutal, honest, and unfiltered. It speaks in the voice of experience, not to destroy you, but to shape you, to expose what is weak, unclear, or misaligned, so that you may correct it and continue stronger than before. Those who understand this principle do not shrink from failure. They run toward it. They test ideas. They take risks. The deeper truth, they know that only in the laboratory of effort can progress be measured. You cannot grow without falling. You cannot improve without errors. Failure is the evidence that you are pushing beyond the boundaries of comfort. It is the confirmation that you are stretching your capacity. The child learning to walk falls down repeatedly, yet no one calls him a failure. No one tells him to give up and accept crawling as his fate. We cheer him on knowing that falling is part of the process. But as we age, we adopt a different standard. We begin to equate failure with shame. We fear judgment more than stagnation. And so we retreat into the safety of predictability, never daring to venture into unfamiliar territory. But the ones who change their world, whether it is their business, their family, their community, or themselves, are the ones who embrace failure not as a threat, but as a guide. They learn to look failure in the face and ask, "What are you trying to teach me?" That question turns pain into progress. That question turns breakdown into breakthrough. It is not failure that breaks a person. It is their response to it. Some crumble under its weight because they have wrapped their identity in the outcome. They believe that to fail at something is to be a failure. But failure is not personal. It is circumstantial. It is situational. It is temporary, unless choose to make it permanent by refusing to rise again. Resilience is born in the fires of failure. You learn what you're made of when everything goes wrong. You find your deepest strength not when things go smoothly, but when the storm hits and you keep moving anyway. The great ones are not immune to failure. They have simply learned to extract wisdom from it, to use it as fuel, to allow it to deepen their hunger and refine their focus. Failure strips away illusions. It reveals whether your commitment is conditional or absolute. It asks you, do you want this enough to try again? And in answering that question with action, you become someone different, someone stronger, someone wiser, someone worthy of the success that once seemed out of reach. The road to any meaningful goal is littered with the wreckage of failed attempts, books that didn't sell, businesses that collapsed, ideas that didn't catch fire, relationships that fell apart. Each failure is a brick, and you choose whether it becomes a wall or a stepping stone. You choose whether it builds your prison or your platform. Do not expect a life of greatness without a life of struggle. You cannot become exceptional by avoiding discomfort, and failure is a form of discomfort few are willing to embrace. That is why few ever achieve what they truly desire, not because they lack talent or intelligence or opportunity, but because they misinterpret failure as rejection rather than redirection. When you begin to see failure as part of the design, your relationship with it transforms. It no longer paralyzes you, it propels you. It no longer silences your voice. It strengthens it. You begin to fail forward, each mistake bringing you closer to clarity, closer to mastery, closer to the vision you hold in your heart, because you are no longer trying to avoid failure. You are using it. Use it to ignite your drive. Use it to recalibrate methods. Use it to remind you that you are alive, engaged, and willing to risk comfort for the possibility of greatness. The comfort zone is a graveyard for ambition, but failure, real messy, painful failure, is the arena where champions are born. There is no shame in falling. The shame is in staying down. Every time you rise again, you send a message to the universe, to your soul, and to every eye watching in silence, that you are not finished, that you are not defined by what went wrong, but by your ability to respond, to grow, and to persist. Failure does not mean stop. It means learn, adjust, refocus, and move again with more wisdom than before. The path is not straight. The journey is not smooth. The deeper truth, but the lessons written in the ink of failure are the ones that mark the soul with resilience and prepare the mind for greater success. There is a hidden truth that separates those who dream from those who do. It is not charm, it is not chance, it is not even genius. The true separator, the force behind every towering achievement, every empire built from scratch, every soul who rose from obscurity, is persistence. The quiet, stubborn, unyielding refusal to quit. The decision to keep moving, especially when the results are delayed and the road is rough. Persistence is not glamorous, it is not loud. It does not come with fireworks or applause. It is found in the early mornings when no one is watching. It is forged in the long nights when self-doubt whispers, and yet the work is still done. It is tested in moments of fatigue when the reward seems far away, and yet the effort continues. This is the soil where greatness takes root, not in grand moments, but in steady, unshakable persistence. The mistake many make is believing that the path to success is already paved, already marked with signs, already smoothed out for their journey. But the path is not given, it is built. And every brick laid, every inch earned, is laid by the hand of persistence. Those who wait for perfect conditions will never begin. Those who wait for motivation will never last. It is persistence that carries the dream when excitement fades. It is persistence that keeps the vision alive when others have walked away. Every obstacle is an invitation, every setback a test. The question is always the same: will you continue? Not just when things are easy, but when they're hard. Not just when you're encouraged, but when you're criticized. Not just when you're winning, but when you've been knocked flat. That is the moment when persistence either speaks or stays silent. And your future is determined by the voice you listen to. Persistence is the discipline to repeat the fundamentals while others grow bored. It is the resolve to keep showing up even when progress seems invisible. It is not about speed. It is about endurance. 1,000 small steps in the same direction. That is how mountains are moved. That is how the invisible becomes real. While others pivot at the first sign of friction, the persistent build momentum. They create their own wind. There will always be reasons to quit. Logical reasons, emotional reasons, social reasons. The voices will tell you it's too late, too hard, too far. But persistence does not debate with the voices. It does not justify itself. It simply continues. It makes no excuses. It seeks no approval. It is loyal to the vision, not the mood. Because the persistent understand a simple truth: motion beats stagnation, and progress, however small, compounds. Even the smallest action repeated with discipline eventually becomes unstoppable. The man who chops at the tree each day may not see results on the first swing, but he swings again and again. And though the tree stands tall and nothing seems to change, the blade keeps cutting. And one day, not by accident, but by effort, the tree falls. So it is with every worthy goal. The fall does not come from one mighty strike, but from thousands that came before it, when no one was watching and nothing was moving. Persistence turns practice into excellence. It turns effort into expertise. The greatest musicians, the greatest athletes, the greatest minds, none were born ready. They simply chose to continue, to rise when others rested, to work when others waited. They were not always the most talented, but they became the most consistent. And in the end, consistency carves out legacy where talent alone cannot. There is no shortcut to mastery, no fast lane to fulfillment, only persistence. That slow, steady drip that wears down stone. The climb may be steep, the pace may be slow, but each step counts. Each moment of effort is a vote for your future. Each decision to persist is a rejection of defeat. And over time, what once looked impossible becomes inevitable. The persistent are not immune to fear. They feel it like everyone else. But they do not bow to it. They move in spite of it. They may doubt themselves, but they do not stop themselves. They carry forward, not with arrogance, but with quiet faith that their work will one day matter. That their efforts, though unseen now, are creating something real. There are seasons where nothing seems to grow, where your labor feels empty, where your dream feels distant. But even in those dry seasons, something is happening beneath the surface. Roots are taking hold. Foundations are being formed. And only those who persist long enough will live to see the bloom. Life will ask you again and again, how bad do you want it? And your answer is never found in your words. It is written in your persistence, in how you act when things don't go your way, in how you respond when the applause fades, and all that's left is the work. That is when identity is forged. That is when character is revealed. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to be the loudest. You don't have to be the most connected, the most gifted, or the most celebrated. But you must be relentless. You must be willing to get back up, no matter how many times you fall. You must be willing to repeat your effort even when your emotions don't support you. That is the currency of true success. The dream belongs to those who refuse to surrender, those who hold the vision close even when time stretches long and progress moves slow, those who walk with grit in their bones and fire in their chest, the ones who understand that the goal is not just reached, it is earned step by step, strike by strike, day by day, through the steady force of persistence. The summit is not what transforms you. The transformation takes place on the way up. While the world is obsessed with outcomes, with trophies and titles, the truth is far more powerful and far less visible. The deeper truth, growth is not found in the spotlight, but in the shadows. It happens in the stretch, in the strain, in the uphill grind that few are willing to endure. The deeper climb is not the obstacle to success. It is the process that forges it. The person you become while striving is the person capable of holding the victory. Without the climb, the crown is too heavy. Without the journey, the achievement means little. It is in the climb that character is shaped. Muscles, mental, emotional, spiritual, are not built by thinking, but by resisting gravity challenge, and the inner voice that says you cannot go further. And yet, step by step, you do. The climb demands more of you than comfort ever will. It pulls out what lies dormant. It reveals your edge, and then asks you to go beyond it. Not once, but repeatedly. Every new height comes with new resistance. The air is thinner. The footing is less secure. The vision is greater, but so is the challenge. And in choosing to keep ascending, even when it would be easier to stop, growth is no longer a theory. It becomes who you are. Most people fear the climb because it exposes their weaknesses. But those who grow understand that exposure is a gift. You cannot strengthen what you refuse to confront. You cannot overcome what you pretend is not there. The climb brings you face to face with your fears, your doubts, your patterns of retreat. And in that confrontation lies the invitation to rise. Growth does not occur in the flatlands of life, where everything is easy, predictable, and safe. Growth happens when you are stretched beyond your limit, when you're unsure of your next move, when you're navigating terrain you've never seen before. The climb is unpredictable, and that is what makes it so essential. In unpredictability, you are forced to adapt. You are forced to think, feel, and respond at a higher level. You are pulled out of autopilot. You become conscious of your choices. There is something sacred about struggle, something holy about hardship, not because it is desirable, but because it is transformative. No person of power, purpose, or clarity arrived there without climbing something. Mountains of adversity, hills of rejection, valleys of silence. Each one shaped them. Each one forced them to either evolve or retreat. And the ones who grew chose to climb again. On the way up, you will lose things: comfort, approval, familiarity. The higher you rise, the more you must shed. Old habits cannot go where you're headed. Old thinking will weigh you down. The climb demands simplicity, mental, emotional, and physical. It forces you to ask, what matters most? And in answering that, you begin to carry less of what doesn't serve you and more of what strengthens you. The climb also isolates, not because people abandon you, but because few are willing to rise. Many will cheer for you until your growth reminds them of their own stagnation. Do not be surprised when silence replaces support. Do not be discouraged when company becomes scarce. Solitude at higher elevations is not punishment. It is confirmation. Growth often creates distance before it creates connection. You must be willing to climb alone. But the solitude of the climb is not loneliness. It is alignment. In that space, you begin to hear your own voice. You begin to trust your instincts. You stop living for applause and start living for truth. The opinions of the crowd grow quieter, and the clarity of your inner knowing grows louder. Growth makes you honest with yourself. You begin to see who you are, not just who you were told to be. And yet, the climb is not linear. You will stumble. You will descend. You will lose your footing. This is not failure. It is refinement. Growth is not a straight line. It is a spiral, a loop, a dance between what you know and what you are still learning. The same lessons will appear again, not because you failed, but because you are ready to see them from a higher vantage point. True growth is not measured in achievements alone. It is measured in awareness, in discipline, in your ability to regulate your emotions, direct your focus, and align your behavior with your vision. The climb strengthens all of these, not because it is smooth, but because it is hard. The deeper truth, the resistance is the gift. The challenge is the curriculum. The mountain you are climbing is not just external. It is internal. Your fear, your procrastination, your doubts. These are cliffs and slopes far steeper than any physical terrain. And yet, step by step, with each act of courage, you ascend. You conquer the mind before you conquer the goal. You grow in capacity before you grow in results. The most powerful victories are often invisible. The day you refuse to give up, the morning you choose discipline over distraction, the deeper truth, the night you stay the course while no one sees. These are the real summits. These are the wins that matter. They don't make headlines, but they make transformation. And the person who embraces the climb becomes someone who no longer chases success. They attract it. Growth is never given. It is earned through endurance, through daily decisions, through sacrifice and vision, through the willingness to stay in motion, even when progress is slow, even others do not understand, even when the reward is not yet visible. The climb does not promise comfort. It promises change. And in that change, you find the strength you didn't know you had, the clarity you didn't know you needed, and the identity you were always meant to step into. Everyone begins at the bottom of their own mountain. No one is born ready. No one starts with certainty. The icons you admire, the leaders you respect, the creators you celebrate, each began exactly where you are now at the start, with fear in their bones, doubt in their minds, and nothing in their hands but a vision and a decision. They were not chosen. They chose. They chose to begin, to persist, to fail, to rise, to climb. And through that they became. There is no shortcut to greatness, no bypass around struggle. You are not late, and you are not lost. You are on the path, and the path is working on you just as much as you are walking on it. The process is not in your way. It is your way. It is the furnace that forges your resilience, the teacher that reveals your blind spots, the pressure that strengthens your purpose. You are being shaped, refined, stretched, and every step you take, no matter how small, is proof that you are not standing still. Start here exactly where you are, with what you know, with what you have. Begin not because you feel ready, but because the climb is calling you. Your future self is waiting, not at the finish line, but on the journey itself. The strength you admire in others is not unreachable. It is replicable, but it is earned. One decision, one failure, one act of courage at a time. Let the world watch. Let them doubt you. Let them misunderstand. You are not here to impress. You are here to grow. And growth is not found in what you claim. It's found in what you carry, what you overcome, and who you become along the way. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection. You need only one thing: to begin, because everyone starts here, even successful people, especially successful people. And now, so do you.